Welcome back to X3 Terran Conflict, and we're about to undock from this station because it's time to make a station of our own, not this one. And I've been wanting to put one down for a while, but we have had other things to get on with, namely getting some money. Now this station is not going to be a heavy earner to start with. It's going to be one of those things that you do over time. You add more and more stations. To start with, we're going to go and buy one. And to buy one, we can't just go to the shipyard and say, trade. And for example, here, if I want a wheat farm, and we're going to go for a wheat farm, I can't just go and press the right arrow. It won't let me buy it because we need a ship that can carry it. Now, it's pretty much a very expensive proposition to buy a ship, but we can go and look for one that can carry it. So if we have a look at the icons here left-hand side, Argon Supply Mammoth, if I go and follow that and press J, it should go and find it. And if we just go and, well, try and communicate with it, or we already can, good. Speak to the captain and ask him to basically say, we want to transport something. Okay, it's going to cost us 3,000 credits for every gate we go through, but we're actually going to put it in this system. So it's going to be really, really cheap as far as we're concerned. So sure, we have a deal. And then we can tell it what to do. So if I just get away from this for a second and slow down. Now, if we go into our property screen, you'll see the Supply Mammoth is at the top hired. And it isn't green because it isn't our ship. We never bought it, but we are asking it to do stuff. So if we communicate, speak to the captain again, we can say, please to move to a shipyard, go into Argon Prime, and then say, well, we can choose either one of these two, but we want the Argon shipyard, and that's going to go over there. And just to show you how good this ship looks, I want one very, very much. I cannot afford one very, very much. And let's just zoom in and keep zooming in. These are the video enhancement goggles. Look at that. I mean, this game is a few years old now, but it still looks great. I'm sorry. That's certainly at least as good as EVE Online. I'm sorry. So we'll see about that front. Well, that's a good point to mention new graphics. E04 Foundation is coming out Foundations is coming out in a couple of weeks now, so there will be content on that. Do keep an eye on the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. I normally only said that at the end of the video, but yeah, it is important to note with that particular game. The other one, by the way, if you are interested, is Farming Simulator 19. It's out in a few days, and I might do a few episodes on that because that's a nice calming game, and you can just relax and basically tend your fields, really. In this case, though, we could have war and all kinds of stuff going on in this game. So we're going to accelerate time forward and wait for the Argon Prime to the Argon Supply Mammoth to go and dock in Argon Prime at the Argon Shipyard. While that's happening, however, we are going to be able to go and buy something else. We want to go to the shipyard and trade, and I'm also going to buy another ship. And I'm going to buy another Tanker XL. Cool. Okay, and now if I go back into my property, you'll see I've got another Mercury tanker. We're going to go into Advanced and rename you to something a little bit easier to stack with alphabetically. So let's call it CAG. And those of you who've played the game before may know what's coming here because of that. But the rest of you, hold on. We'll explain shortly. And I'm just going to name that Mercury Tanker XL1, as in it's the number one for the CAGs. There we go. And then we're going to go and communicate with that, and I'm going to send it to navigation dock at, and then we're going to tell it to go to the equipment dock. So we're going to need to basically load it with lots and lots of software. Well, only a few essentials, but I tend to put the other software I need if I ever want to fly it on board as well, just in case we need to change ships. And that is relatively cheap, well, at least it is compared to the amount of money we've got. So that Mammoth is still there on my screen. It's incredibly slow. The shipyard is there, and there is our other ship coming out. So if we accelerate time forwards, and I'm going to jump forward in the recording so you don't have to watch these incredibly slow ships move around. All right, and now they're both docked. You can see the Mammoth is docked. You can actually see it visibly docked. It's huge by comparison to the rest of the station. There you go. Anyway, they're both docked. So we need to go and equip one, or well, in fact, both of them. The Supply Mammoth, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go to that station. Go to the shipyard, and we're going to tell you we want to trade, and we want to buy a wheat farm. I'm just going to try a wheat farm. Haven't looked into it too much other than it's probably going to be okay. We've got 5 million credits. I mean, 400,000 is not going to sink us, and we probably want to put a few 100,000 more credits on the station as well, just to let it be able to buy and sell. It's got some credits to work with. So we're going to buy one and tell it to load into the supply mammoth. Great. Then we can go back to our supply mammoth and basically say, hey, you, communicate, captain, and please follow me. Okay, so that's going to start it undocking and heading towards us. Not that we particularly need it in any particular spot. You can unload a station into any part of the sector from any other part of the sector. It's only across sectors you actually need to send ships. So we don't need to worry about it. And then we've got our CAG Mercury tanker there. So if we get it to trade, we want to buy some stuff. Now, the only thing I think you absolutely need is Commodity Logistics Software Mark 1 and Mark 2, or at least you're going to want those anyway at some point. But because I want to upgrade this ship as much as possible, I'm going to upgrade engine tuning. I'm going to add a duplex scanner, some flight command software. Navigation command software is another essential. Don't skip that one. So this, and this are essential. The rest, don't worry about it too much. It's up to you entirely. And then we can just equip some more stuff. And this rest is just in case I ever want to change ships into this ship. And I've got some stuff on board then. So a trading system extension, trading command software. I don't need to skimp on those sort of things. And that's pretty much it. It's just a cargo vessel, or at least a smaller cargo vessel. We could put more cargo bay extensions into it. But at the start, this ship is, or at least its pilot, is going to be relatively inexperienced. So it's not going to be able to do all that much. Right. So we've got a cargo ship and we've got a mammoth, which is carrying a station. Let's actually deploy the station. So go into our property, go and communicate with the mammoth, and then speak to the captain again and say, please drop my freight here. And drop the wheat farm. Now you're going to see the map, and it's going to give you an option to where to place it. You're going to use the numpad. You use 4862, etc. to move it around. So let's just move it to the middle of the territory, and then make sure to flip this vertically so you can see where you actually want to put it. So as you can see, I'm going to put it above the rest of the plane a little bit, just so that we probably won't get any collisions with people going to it. And then press enter on the main part of the keyboard, not the one on the numpad, to deploy.
Everything's just fine. We'll start unloading here. It's been a financial pleasure meeting you. Come back soon.
Okay, and now our mammoth is going to essentially deploy our station. There it is, our first space station, a wheat farm. And it's pretty large. If we just go back to our property, and if we just go on, that's a dock, and that'll turn us around. Okay, so we're facing it now. I'm not actually going to dock, I just want to get close by it. There we go. Nice wheat farm. 400,000 of our credits, and let's bring ourselves to a halt. The next thing we're going to do is go back to that other tanker that I purchased, and you'll see this is flashing. It's basically got some issues. It hasn't got anything it can't make anything. It has no products in stock, and it has no resources available. Don't worry about that just yet. We're going to go to our tanker, and you can go and serve it manually if you want to go and get some credit energy cells. That's all it actually needs. If you just go to info, you'll see its products are Dylexian wheat, but it takes in energy cells to produce that wheat. So you can go and buy those yourself. I'm not going to worry about that just yet, though, because let's just worry about this tanker. So we're going to get it to go. I'm going to just go communicate with it. There we go. And I'm going to go down to the bottom and set its home base to be our wheat farm. There it is. And then I'm going to go onto the trade menu, press 3, and scroll out down to where it says Com Agent, Start Commercial Representation. Now, the problem with this at the moment is that the pilot on board this ship is brand new. He's never flown a ship before. He doesn't even know what the joystick does. So he's not going to be terribly good. But over time, he should get better. Now, there is ways to level them up, and that's what the other two options really do. We could basically, the CLS or Commodity Logistics System lets us set an exact thing. So if you want to set up like a convoy of things being moved around, CLS does that for you. In the process, the flight time levels up the pilots, and then you can swap the pilots back into CAG, or the commercial agent, if you like. So let's just start off and see how he does, and later we can correct it later. Yeah, so we can do a bunch of different things. So I'll just go in here and see if there's any of this we need to actually do. Probably not. Trader settings, where list, let's change this to trade list, and where list add wares. We can't actually input anything there. Fine, no problem. In fact, why has your home base been reset? Let's actually set it there and actually get it to go dock. Well, docking's not going to help. Let's actually just start up the commercial representation. See what it does by default. There it goes. So it should be probably going to the wheat farm. Yeah, it says destination, and that's something. Let's just forward time. Add where? Okay, so here we are. We can either, or I guess both, eventually, we can tell it what to do with the products and the resources. Let's try energy cells. Yeah, let's try energy cells and the Dilexian wheat. Let's exit out of that. So we've got 2 entries. Is there an exception? I don't think we want any exceptions. This is more like when we want to stop it from sector list type. We want it to maybe set the sector list to a white list if it can. Can we set it to a white list? Exceptions, sectors, add a sector. So if we want to trade in Argon Prime, I want to set trade in Ringo Moon, we can add those. And trade list, blacklist, can I set trade list? Yeah, there we go. So that's the white list basically. So it can trade in Argon Prime, it can trade in Ringo Moon, which happens to have bakeries in it, and then we've got it actually set up. So we'll see how well that goes. And is there anything else I want to set up in here? Not that it should matter right now, but just in case later, only trade with non-player stations. I'm going to set to yes, so that it's not going to worry about any other stations I put around. I'll set up something else for that. And if we go out here, if we jump down to trade duties, it's set to a trader at the moment, so it's going to be trying to purchase resources and sell products for us, okay? And we'll just leave that on default for now anyway. And yeah, it should start picking up and selling wares. Let's take a look. It's returning home to the wheat farm, first of all. Once it's docked, it'll then realize, well, you need to go and get some stuff done. So if we go to our wheat farm and then adjust station parameters, we can then decide what we actually want. So where do we want to sell our products? So let's say it's set to the average at the moment, and we can set it to 1 credit above the average for what we're going to sell for, maybe. Or, yeah, let's give that a try. And then what we're going to buy energy credits for, we can try it for 1 less than the average. Okay, and then I can already set some credits. So if I just use the mouse here and click there, I'm giving it about 300,000 credits. There we go. And that's pretty much fine. I just want to leave the station some stuff it can get on with. Now we can see how much that increases or decreases over time, of course, whenever we come back to this. So just remember, I've put around 300 grand in it, and we can go from there. Is there anything else we want to do at this point? We can go to the command console, I suppose, but that lets us give various orders. Like, for example, I can get it to trade money back to me when it passes a certain amount. So that's, you know, something we could think about. I guess. Oh, what do we want to do? Maybe 500,000. I don't expect it to do this anytime soon, but yeah, we may as well set up that transfer. And as for any other rules here, I'm not going to worry about these two. I'm just going to worry about reporting inbound ships. I want to know when it starts actually trading stuff. So, yeah, that's fine. No inbound ships. Report ends. Fine. I was hoping that that would be an ongoing thing that would tell me when ships were inbound. It doesn't appear to. Oh well, nothing much you can do there. Okay, so we've set that up, at least to start, and hopefully that should get going on its own. You can see its available credits in our property screen, and we could then hide it if we actually wanted to. But for now, let's be able to let that go. What else have we got going? We've got our sector trader, which is still going. It's not really doing anything that we need to worry about. And the difference really is between these two. These are two different things that go and buy and sell stuff on your behalf. The sector trader and later the universe trader just goes and does whatever it wants. It's not under any kind of control. It's easy, but it is expensive to start. $500,000 just for the software plus the ship. It's more likely $1 million per sector and universe trader. Whereas the commercial agents, they will serve your particular farm. So you may want to hide them off this screen eventually, but I'll leave them on to start with. And or they'll serve your various stations, and you can build stations together into complexes. We're not going to get that done in this episode. That's a much more advanced thing. You basically have a sort of node connection system, so you place down one factory and another one next to it, and you connect them together, and that's where it depends more which orientation they're in and all kinds of other things. We're not going to worry about it just yet. Let's get our wheat farm up and running. Okay, and our first CAG, our first commercial agent, I just added some more exceptions, basically some more sectors it can trade in. Specifically, I added Heron's Nebula and Power Circle. Power Circle happens to have the solar plants in it, or a lot of solar plants. So you'll see it automatically decided now it needs to go and get some energy cells for our station. So it's going to go and buy those and bring them back. So let's see if that's successful. Okay, so a short time in CETA later, and I've just left it in CETA so that I can demonstrate this more than anything else. I would just let it be passive otherwise. You can see we've got our... Is that our little cargo ship coming back? I think it is. Yeah, the only thing in system is the tanker, so we just need to fast forward a little bit. And it should be coming back because it went all the way out to Power Circle all by itself. Flew around a couple of stations until it found some energy cells, and it's now saying it wants to return home to the wheat farm. So let's just forward that, and there it is, going to dock, and docked. Cool. Now it's now docked, so we should see that transfer back. Let's go back to our properties screen. And you'll see now our wheat farm is no longer flashing. It's actually green, which means it's now producing wheat. Our tanker is now going to try and get more energy cells, and it will continue to do that until it needs to sell some wheat. And of course, we haven't got any wheat in the factory at the moment, but that shouldn't take all that long for that to actually occur. If we have a look at that, yet you see the stock is down to 0. But that will build up quite naturally without much problems. The cargo ship was able to get half the stock levels that it needs. So what we could also do is we could also essentially expand the cargo bay. That's something I've been thinking about, but not for the CAG. I'm not going to worry about it too much for the moment. I'm going to leave that alone. However, the sector trader down here has been, while I've been waiting for the CAG to go and get some energy cells, it's been essentially just sitting there making money. Yeah, I'm up to 4,571,000. I checked it a few minutes ago while in CETA still, and it was at 4,488. So it's made 100 grand in a short time, which is, you know, enough to pay for all that software that we bought. So what I thought I'd probably do with that is tell this to actually go and well, let's just communicate with it and tell it to navigate, dock at, in fact, no, navigate, jump, and fly to station, go to Argon Prime, go to the equipment dock, and we'll reward its loyal service with expanding its cargo hold, I think. And there we go, it's just docked at Argon Equipment Dock, but in the meantime, while that's been happening, our wheat farm is now up to 700 out of its maximum capacity of 6,000, so about 10% full of Delexian wheat. And in that time, it's gone down about 1,000 energy cells. So It does use up energy cells at a rate of knots, but it is now creating stock. While basically our CAG, basically agent, is going to buy more energy cells. Eventually he'll come back and then he'll want to resupply our station. What I may well do at that point, once it's got our station up to a certain amount of energy cells, is change his role in the settings from trader to salesman. And he should then go and try and sell the wheat everywhere, at least, you know, as a priority. So let's go to our station here, or at least our sector trader, and we'll reward someone who can make money with a lot more ability to make money. And we can then see, let's see how much it costs to upgrade everything. And that's about 1 million, but that gives the ship another 1900 cargo. I'm going to spend that. Yeah, why not? Okay, so we're down to 3.6 million, but that one ship is capable of carrying a lot more. All right, so then we'll go and tell it to resume what it was doing. Start sector trader, and we'll tell it to go back to Orbelt and just one jump. There we go. And it should be heading back down there, hopefully. Yeah, I think it's going to be heading down out of Argon Prime now, and we should be fine. Now, while all this is happening, if you remember last episode, I set this Discoverer to follow another ship. Down here, it's got to Empire's Edge, and then it's followed all the way right here, down, over, right. So this is how big the system is. And yeah, Omicron Lyra is a special system. We'll come back to that another time. But yeah, it's been places. And it's continuing to follow that trader, and it will just map out the system for us, or the whole map for us eventually, I guess. But mainly around wherever that trader wants to go. But it's very, very cheap. It was only something like 30 grand for the ship. So we could attach more of them to more ships. And it would just, you know, map out the whole thing for us if we wanted to. So I'm quite happy with that approach. And I think you should be too. You should probably go make yourself a few of those to go and map the whole thing for you. You can look online for the whole map, don't get me wrong, but this is obviously an in-game way to do it, and you'd need to fly there anyway otherwise, because even if you have the online one, you can never go and map all the stations out, etc., and know where everything is without actually going there yourself in-game. And back comes our little agent with our second haul of energy cells, although I think some more energy cells have been sold to this station by another person anyway. If we have a look at info, yeah, I think more has been sold to it because it's actually down on funds. It's down 166,000, and it was 220 something. So yeah, there are NPC traders. They'll come along and happily sell you stuff. So in comes that trader. And there he is. So now I'm just going to go straight onto this screen, and it says the CAG's on standby because I think he's probably supplied it with, yep, it's pretty much over 80% full, and now it's going to make Delexian wheat. So I'm going to go into here, communicate with this guy, and go into the trade menu, the commercial representation, and then I'm going to go make a couple more changes. So exceptions, I'm going to add another sector. I'm going to add a sector, the wall, because there is a solar plant there. So we'll be able to do that. And then I'm also going to change his trade duties. Shopper, salesman. Okay. And hopefully he will then go and find stuff and start the agent. Okay. He says to return home, but he's already home, so he's probably just going to turn around. I would have thought. Are you going to turn around? Hopefully. Where are you going? Come back. Ah, you're turning around. Good, good. Okay, maybe I didn't need to reset the agent software, but there we go. Now what is he going to do? He's on standby. There we go. So he's now going to the Rhymes Factory M Beta. That's in Heron's Nebula. So if we go to that, Rhymes Factory M Beta info. One of its resources is Delexian wheat, so we can sell Delexian wheat to this station. And that's exactly what that CAG is now doing, which is good. So we've got something that works all the way around. Technically, other traders can come to your station and buy as well. You know, it's not just, you don't have to have these things, but this certainly will help kickstart any stations that you do, you create and drop into space. And of course, they'll try their best to sell on your behalf, which is exactly what we want. And it's sort of a more ordered form of the sector trader, which will go and make money for you, but you never quite know how much. And I've already gained another 164,000 from that sector trader while this one has been moving around. So good news all around, really. And there we go. Our CAG has now sold basically it's an entire load, around 2,700 Lexian wheat. It actually tried to go to a few stations. It failed at selling it, probably because the need had already been fulfilled by other traders. So it brought all the quantity back. That filled up the buffer here. And then I added another exception to make it be able to serve Home of Light as well as another exception. And then it then took 2,700 down there, sold them all, and then it brought our credits back to 262,711. Now, if you remember, I gave it around 300 grand to start off with, but that station is now still over halfway served with resources, even with all of that, and it should go over 300 grand the next time it does another sales run. You'll see it's already up to 500 here. So I don't have very much of a concern. However, do remember that if we have a look at the station parameters, I am choosing to buy and sell very, very close to the average. You need to play with those and find the best balance for making the most money, of course. Okay, so here we go. I can bring that price all the way down to 12, but I'll leave it at 13, which is close to the bottom price, buying the resources. And we could also increase this price for selling. So this is going to affect the price that our ship, the agent, is going to try and sell at, or is well, affect where it's going to look to be able to sell at, because those stations will be buying at a certain price. So if we sell at 40 instead of 33, then it's got a much harder time of finding a place, but it'll make more money when it does. And similarly, when it goes for energy cells, it's only going to go for places where there's tons of energy cells available. So yeah, we've got that available. Now, as you can see, our factory is at 262, and our personal wallet is at 3.65. So that will increase over time. And our CAG is coming back home. Now, I appreciate today's episode has been a lot of looking at the property screen and configuring everything, but I only need to demonstrate it once, presumably because you should be able to then set up more. Only time I'll really come back to this concept, I'll show you when I deploy new stations, but perhaps not necessarily the CAG and stuff like that. I'll more just assume that you already know I'm going to be doing that. The only exception will be probably when I come back to do complexes, so multiple stations next to each other and linked together and stuff like that. For the start, though, I like to have miscellaneous stations. So once I get a few million credits together, buy another station, take it somewhere in a nice location that might make us some money. For example, I might actually want to put an energy sort of generating station, solar power plant down here in Ore Belt. And that will be able to produce more energy cells. However, I do have a sector trader down there, so I wouldn't necessarily need a CAG. I could just set up the buy and sell rates, and maybe even our own sector trader, there it goes, just appeared, will actually trade stuff from it. So that's another possibility as well. If we have a look around here, we may even have enough business to be able to put another station down. Again, another wheat farm, because we've got in Ringo Moon cattle ranches. What do they take? Just energy cells, and they produce beef. And then we've got two bakeries. Both of the bakeries need wheat. Then we've got some in Heron's Nebula, two Rhymes factories. They both need wheat. The competition that we've got is in Cloud-Based Northwest, I think. That has a couple of wheat farms. Yeah, there we go. M Alpha and M Beta. But I think we also have some other places over here. Again, wheat farms in the wall. So we're closer certainly than the wall to Ringo Moon. And we've got Argon Prime itself. Maybe, do any of these require? I don't think so. They all look fairly militaristic. Home of Light, maybe? Yeah, Home of Light has two bakeries. They both want wheat. So we've got plenty of business around. We'll see how profitable it is. And maybe in the next episode, I'll let you know of just how much money we're making with that. And of course, we're making money anyway because of the sector trader. So that's two independent means of making money. Next episode, I think what I'm going to do is do more mission stuff, more flying around and more active stuff to just give us a break from the empire building. And then maybe 1 or 2 stations will deploy in the episode after that, or maybe even late in the next episode. We'll see. So hopefully you've got a bit of an indication about how to use CAG. We'll come back to CLS another time. That's just when we're training pilots up. This will train the pilots up as well, just perhaps slower than we'd be used to with CLS. And then we'll get on with more empire building. So hopefully you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if you have. Subscribe, share, follow me on Twitter at Greyduster if you haven't. Do remember, E04 Foundations is coming out at the end of the month. It could be great. It could be like Rebirth. But we'll see what it actually turns out to be. Anyway, as always, guys, thanks for watching.